Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Wednesday, April 16, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, public service CEOs get 15% salary increase. PSU makes demands from GOB in the wake of CEO's salary increase. And officials meet to discuss placentia erosion. We take our first break and return with the news in detail. Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. Making the rounds on social media is a memo dated March 28 from the Cabinet Secretary to the Financial Secretary and all Chief Executive Officers in the public service announcing a salary increase for CEOs of 15%. As of March 13, their salaries have gone from $76,300 to $88,000 annually, a difference of almost $12,000. In the case of the cabinet secretary, who is the head of the CEOs, he was receiving $81,000 in 2018, and with this change, he will now be receiving $96,000, an increase of 18.5%. The salaries of the CEOs were last increased in 2018. In 2022, their salaries, allowances, and benefits saw them receiving a grand package of $113,540. That included transport allowance of $1,350, living and entertainment allowance of $1,500, and telephone allowance of $250 that they sought to be increased to $600 monthly in November 2023. However, that was rescinded following objection from the unions. The entertainment allowance had been cut by $750 during COVID times, but was restored in 2022. With regards to this latest increase in CEO salaries, police officers have now started their own agitation for a salary increase for them as well. They are sharing their discontent in the form of a WhatsApp status. They state, quote, "Nurses and CEOs get raised in salaries, and what about us? The men and women who protect these streets every day and night, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Don't we deserve a raise?" End quote. In the past, government officials have defended the increases in allowances for the CEOs, saying they are earning way less than what CEOs in the private sector earn. The Public Service Union, PSU, has condemned the increase of salaries for CEOs in the public service, retroactive to March 13, the day after the general elections. The PSU, in a release today, stated that this is being done at a time when the government continues to owe public officers 3 increments, which are equivalent to a 7.5% salary adjustment. It also notes that approximately 40% of public officers earn less than $20,000 annually. PSU President Dean Flowers said the increase at this time, when there is no new budget, is also questionable.
There was no indication that this matter was tabled before cabinet, that it came as a result of approval by the Prime Minister. We're all being taken for fools by the PUDP. The same thing that this administration accused the Barrow administration of is the very same thing that they do. They come with these type of retroactive payments for which there has been absolutely no budget approval. We know for a fact that within the supplementals that were passed in the last fiscal year, there was no provision for salary increases for the cabinet secretary or the CEO caucus. What's even more surprising is that in our good faith conversation and discussions with the government negotiating team led by Honorable Cordell Hyde, Deputy Prime Minister, and Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Honorable Chris Coy, they would have given us their undertaking and their commitment that we will embark, this administration will embark with the support and sponsorship of the IDB to undertake a comprehensive salary review and salary restructuring exercise. And so, given that undertaking, everybody's salary would have been looked at, and it is expected that everybody then would be compensated as fairly and as justly as is possible. So given that the government has given this undertaking to the PSU and the joint unions, it's a disrespect to the entire collective bargaining process. It's a disrespect to the government negotiating team, in my view, because in essence, they're saying, we don't care what you're doing on the larger scale, we're looking after ourselves. I dare say I dare say 75% of them would have never been enjoying the compensation package that they're currently enjoying in the public sector, in the private sector. And so for a lot of them, they're on cloud nine because they would have never, the private sector would never offer some of them because some of them are simply not qualified to hold such prestigious positions.
The union is now making several demands from the Briceño administration.
We're asking for a salary adjustment of 7.5%. And we're not asking in the sense of begging for consideration. We're saying to the government of Belize, whether it was under the UDP, whether it is under the PUP, you have withheld a minimum of 7.5% salary from public officers. So we're demanding that 7.5% now. We're not about to enter into, or we're not asking to enter into negotiation for our 7.5%. We're saying if you can give your CEO caucus and your cabinet secretary, and by extension yourself, because there is no way any minister will continue to sit and watch the CEOs earn more than them. That's foolish for any one of us to think that the ministers will not get an equivalent salary adjustment. That's foolish. Why do you think you had that chaos at Social Security the other day with the removal of the former CEO? Money issues. We would have submitted our framework for a new CBA to the government last year. To date, we are unable to get a response. And if we don't get a response in 21 days, we will submit our proposals, regardless of what that framework states. And lastly, we're saying to the government that nothing in this press release is rocket science, and that you need to go to the moon and try to figure out. So we're giving them 21 days before we get a mandate from our membership in accordance with our grievance procedure. That's the time frame that you give any head of department or CEO to respond to your correspondence. And if they don't, then you look to elevate it. And our intent now is to elevate it to the general membership.
The PSU is also asking for an increase in transfer grants by $300 as mandated in their collective bargaining agreement, and for public officers to receive the retroactive payment owed for transfer grants since 2021. The president of the Belize National Teachers Union, Nadia Martin-Kaliz, also reacted to the salary increase for CEOs in a brief statement to their membership.
I've heard your cries, I've received your messages and everything. My action is going to take directly to your demands. The BNT has seen a number of persons who are normally paid from the public purse receiving increases as it pertains to their salaries. We have been asking for our frozen increments. We have been asking for outstanding increments. We've been asking for salary upgrades. There are a number of things pertaining to salaries that the BNT has been asking for. The BNTU must say that in certain areas, we recognize the strides that we have made, and we're happy about it. But the cost of living today is not one that we can sit idly by and ignore. So every time we see certain persons being paid and our educators are suffering, we are now saying to you, the government of Belize, that the BNT will be meeting with its affiliates and caucusing with its membership, because we're getting ready to take action. Give us what is legally ours. It is time and past time that we see our salaries.
Also raising eyebrows is an apparent practice in the police department at the time of the send-off of a commissioner for some precincts to award him with gifts paid for out of public funds. It was revealed on Tuesday that precinct commanders had received a notification text that finance officers had authorized the disbursement of $800 for Chester Williams's send-off. A luncheon is set to be held on May 5th after a commander's meeting. The commissioner has since clarified that a farewell luncheon for departing senior officers is standard, and so are the gifts, which will come only from 4 precinct commanders. He added that he has always urged officers to get the gifts donated. Officials from several line ministries met to discuss ongoing erosion impacting the Placencia Peninsula, and in particular recent issues regarding structures that impeded the natural flow of sediment, sand mining, and others that led to beach erosion. One particular case of a rock wall on the beach led residents to action in March. The government, in a joint release today, stated that it will immediately work on identifying and rectifying human-induced factors that are contributing to the situation. Considering also the impacts from climate change, the release says the government, quotes, appreciates the community's engagement and understands the urgency of taking action to safeguard our properties and our social and cultural livelihoods, end quote. They have therefore drafted a plan to address the issues. It includes community engagement to chart a way forward, enhance regulation and enforcement against violators, increase vigilance of approved projects that may contribute to erosion, and the pursuit of studies for informed decision making. Cabinet will be appraised by the residents' concerns and steps to be taken. The University of South Florida is currently conducting research with involvement from the community and the government. Concerns and observation can be emailed to complaints@environment.gov.bz. In related news, Dangriga Area Rep. Dr. Louis Zabane has continued with constituency meetings after the elections to hear the concerns of residents. Erosion is one of the bigger problems for the coastal division that Zabane says will have to be addressed along with other government agencies. He spoke on this as well as the other work he expects will be done during this term and work that continues from the last administration.
Erosion is a very grave problem for our constituency and all coastal communities. In the last term, we were able to work with the Ministry of Sustainable Development, and we had some Cuban scientists that came and did studies. They recognized that a lot of the material that has eroded is within a half-mile distance from the shore under the water. That in their experience in Cuba, they informed us they were able to reclaim quite a bit of their beaches. So we're hopeful that with a project that's under the Ministry of Economic Development, that we would be able to start that reclamation and doing it, of course, in a sustainable manner. So that is one of the priorities. Many of the people who come into my office, I continue to have interaction with them on a weekly basis, and I visit their homes even after the election. To some of their surprise, of course, that we're there after the elections. But there are a number of things that they want to hold me accountable for that I said we'd be working on. A lot of it has to do with drainage and street construction of streets, a lot of the larger canals that are blocked up. So there's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done. And in this term, we're also hoping to have a new bridge that will be built farther west that would link the new areas, area called Third Site with Wagerale. So that's something that we'll be working on. But things that started in the last term are full speed ahead. For example, the concreting of the road from Drums of Our Father all the way to Commerce Bight Port. And then the construction of the multipurpose park is full steam ahead. That's a $4 million grant from the BTB. And it is coming to life as we speak. And then I am about to meet with the people from Radical Center. We're now getting ready to hire more people for the second and third floors of the building that they now occupy. So those things are ongoing from last term, and so I'm excited to see that they are continuing and benefiting the people of the constituency.
After the break, a woman alleges rape against union leader, and downtown fire destroys 3 businesses in San Pedro. Stay with us.
Farmacia Fritón, teléfono 22 32 87 6.
A woman has come forward to make allegations of rape against a union leader who is her co-worker. She came to the media because she believes that her case is being swept under the rug. She recounted that since 2017, the person in question was making advances toward her. She notes that she rejected those advances, but in April 2019, she agreed to sit with him to discuss a work matter. However, she says she made it clear that she was not interested in dating him. According to her, he took her to a restaurant in Ladyville, and on their way back to Belize City, he stopped the car and raped her. The woman says she has reported the matter to the police and to her employment and claims that he is still harassing her. The DPP has said that further investigation needs to be conducted by the police before any decision is made on the matter. Today, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize issued a statement on the matter stating that it maintains a zero-tolerance policy for all forms of sexual violence or misconduct. At the same time, it affirms there must be due process and everyone is entitled to due process. In an interview today, the president of the Public Service Union was asked about the matter.
I want to make it abundantly clear that the union movement, and I believe I speak on behalf of every true trade unionist, we do not condone any such acts or behavior. I think that where the PSU is concerned, we would be the first to condemn any act of violence in any shape or form against women. We don't tolerate that. However, it is also important, however, that we recognize that the justice system presumes all individuals innocent, and they must be proven guilty, and you cannot pronounce somebody to be guilty simply based on the allegations of another person. If that was the case, then I believe women would be lining up, accusing several men of such acts and behavior. So the matter has to be investigated. The evidence have to be considered. And ultimately, if it reaches trial, an informed jury or judge will have to take an informed decision.
Meanwhile, a Belize City fisherman, 33-year-old Jose Mejia, was found guilty of rape of a child on Monday. He is to be sentenced on May 23. The incident dates back to February 2021 when the complainant was 14. Mejia denied the allegations. Justice Nigel Pilgrim found the complainant's testimony to be credible. Mejia is being represented by attorney David McCoy. The DPP Cheryl Lynn Vidal prosecuted the case. A fire broke out sometime after 9 Tuesday night on Barrier Reef Drive or Front Street in San Pedro and Burgers Key. The National Fire Service was called and they responded but were unable to bring the blaze under control. Dozens of islanders showed up, as is customary, to form a bucket brigade to help put out the fire. An hour or so later, the blaze was brought under control to the cheering of the many volunteers. Unfortunately, one building was destroyed by the fire and a couple of adjacent buildings received damages. No injuries were reported. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the fire. Abner Bakab, the owner and an emergency medical technician with Island Emergency Services, said he was called to assist.
Once we arrived on the scene, the fire had already been contained by the fire department. There was 2 trucks that were working. There was a lot of people helping them with the bucket brigade, trying to extinguish the fire as well. So it was a community effort between the fire department, the firefighters, and the public that were assisting them as well. No, as you know, the more hands you have on deck, the better result we would have. No, definitely, it is right in front of the Central Park. No, a couple of business called Monolitos. There's other places that got affected. You know, one of my friends had a bike rental shop there. He lost everything as well because it got damaged by the fire. So I'm sure the damages are a lot in money when we talk money wise, no. So definitely material things that were lost. I'm sure that the relevant authorities will reach out to the people trying to help them or assist them in one way or another. No?
Bakab spoke on the community effort to help put out the fire. However, he said that the firefighters are not to be blamed for needing assistance from the public as they lack sufficient resources. He believes the island needs additional fire station, additional fire engines, and more firefighters.
Yes, well, as you know, San Pedro unites when there's an emergency, a disaster, or any type of emergency that is here. People do unite, especially for fire. We've seen it many times, you know. People are willing to help and they help. You know, it could be me today, tomorrow, you. So everybody's united, and I'm happy for the community to come together, you know. When we talk about the fire department, well, of course, you know, they have limited resources, limited firefighters here on the island. You know, I'd like to look at everything. San Pedro being a big tourist destination, we have about 20,000 people here. When you look at the numbers, you know, and you look at the expansion of San Pedro, south, north, I would definitely say personally that we need at least 3 more fire stations here, one south, one north, and one in the street beach area, no? Because the areas are very far. If we here in town respond to a fire around 10 miles, by the time we reach there, then the fire would have already engulfed the whole building, no? So it is important to have fire station in a close by radius where they can reach in a timely manner, no? So definitely we need more fire station, more resources to be able to control the entire island, no? So definitely we need more fire station, we need more fire trucks, we need more firefighters as well, you know? So sometimes we tend to blame the firefighters, but we have to look at the bigger picture. I think the government, the ministers, the town council should have already had a plan.
Belizeans often complain about ineffectiveness of the National Fire Service. While it is true that the service lacks quality fire engines, protective gear for firefighters, and other resources, it is also true that the firefighters and volunteers still put their lives on the line, doing what they can to protect life and property. After working hard battling Tuesday's night blaze, a few of the firefighters needed oxygen therapy. Abner Bakab, the owner and an emergency medical technician with Island Emergency Services, spoke on providing that service and the working relationship they have with the fire service as colleagues in providing emergency services on the island.
While I was on the scene, helping to salvage some of the stuff from the one of the businesses there. After that, I went home and I received a call from a fellow firefighter. You know that they just needed some assistance with oxygen. They had inhaled a lot of smoke again. Like, how are they the ones at the forefront manning the hoses and guiding everyone? So sometimes you're concentrated on battling the fire and stopping the fire, and that's when they you know, could run the risk of inhaling a lot of smoke, no? And that, as you know, is very dangerous because your oxygen level drops, no? Because of the inhaling a lot of carbon, right? So definitely, you know, I was called. We assisted them by providing some oxygen therapy. About 20-30 minutes after that of the oxygen therapy, they were feeling much better. It's not the first time that I have assisted the firefighters. A lot of the times when, you know, yes, they're fighting the fire, but there's always things that we need to do afterwards. Yes, we save the home, stop the fire, but then we have to take care of our firefighters as well. We don't want them to get sick. We don't want them to have long-term effects. So I can say that the firefighters that are there are very, very intelligent and they know what they need when they need it. They would call us to provide oxygen. No? So definitely, as an ambulance service, again, we are working very closely with the San Pedro Fire Department, hand in hand, to work together to be able to, you know, help them as well do their job better and make sure that they are safe and healthy as well.
After the break, Farmers of the Year chosen. Stay tuned.
20 years ago,
3 farmers from across the country were chosen as the Farmers of the Year this year, ahead of the National Agriculture and Trade Show, scheduled for May 30 to June 1 in Belmopan. The farmers were chosen by the NAT Committee in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise. The Senior Farmer of the Year is Gregorio Esquivel of Corozal. The Female Farmer of the Year is Naomi Requena of Toledo. And the Junior Farmer of the Year is Juan Carrillo of Orange Walk. Dansford Mangar, Agriculture Extension Officer, spoke of the selection process and of Carrillo being awarded as a junior farmer.
Every year they have an agricultural show. Like 6 months before, we try to find farmers that are suited, that are active, that are working, that work with us a lot with the ministry, especially in the BM system, the Belize Agricultural Information Management System, whereby farmers will plant a crop and will report to us when they plant the crop, how much they plant, what type of crop they plant, when they harvest, and how much they harvest. And that's helped us with the importation of licensing and so on, because if our farmers have a product on the market, then that helps us not to give importation license for certain products, right? And so the extension officers go around, and Mr. Ricardo Carr was selected. He has livestock and he has crops. We think that he was the best suited person for the task because of his activeness in agriculture. So we select him, we take him to the office, we prepare him, we tell him how he will be judged, what is his expectation, more or less, just to say what you do on the farm and say the truth about what you really do, and not what we tell you what to do, is the best way out. And fortunately, he won as a junior farmer, and we're very proud of that.
Carrillo, who is 24 years old, said he was surprised at being selected as he was not expecting the honor. He explained that he started helping his father, who was also a farmer, at the age of 12. His father eventually left farming, and he later continued in agriculture, along with his younger brother and their grandfather. He says the family mainly grows tomatoes, sweet peppers, cabbage, and cilantro. He hopes to serve as a role model to youths so they would consider farming too. Easter is upon us, and many Belizeans have embarked on their travel to different destinations within and beyond the country's borders. Because of Easter activities and this increased travel, traffic becomes heavier on our highways, and oftentimes alcohol is involved, which can lead to even more reckless driving. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams provided some tips to help you stay safe this Easter.
At this time of the year, we know that the Lent season is one that many Belizeans would take for granted, and it has troubled us for many years. We see an increase in the loss of lives, not just on the highways, but on the waterways. And so we normally encourage our people to exercise extreme caution when using the highways. Try to drive within speed limits. Do not drive recklessly, stay on your side of the road. And those who go to the waterways, always try to take somebody with you. Don't go alone. Because sometimes you go into these rivers, the water is so cold, you catch a cramp. If nobody is there to assist you, you might just submerge and never resurface. And so again, try to go with somebody, and do not go into water that is too deep that you will not be able to stand with your head above the water. And again, the police and the police department will be working very closely with Department of Transport countrywide on our highways to make sure that we do our part to mitigate the occurrences of traffic accidents on the highways around this time.
The Dr. Gilbert Emmanuel Gordon Scholarship Program is accepting applications for their high school scholarship for 2025, with the deadline being May 2nd. The program is for one Standard 6 student from Ebenezer Primary School in Belize City to receive a high school scholarship. The school is the alma mater of Dr. Gilbert Gordon, who explained that he had vowed to assist students in need from his old school as soon as he was able to. He also detailed how the program is able to fund these scholarships.
Back in the past, when I was attending the Ebenezer Primary School, we had some major challenges in respect to financial resources, in respect to having provision in going to school. And I made a commitment that if I am ever given an opportunity to be able to provide or to give back to the school in the form of a scholarship or in the form of providing provision, then I would definitely step up and try to seek ways of how I could do that. And I must say that the Bible, Luke 1:37, it says, "For with God nothing is impossible." And he has provided me a platform and a network that I have put together a scholarship program and a foundation. And the model that I have developed for the program is that I have seek sponsorship and I have also engaged in fundraising. What is done during that time when we receive the funding is then being put in a principal savings, and we use that principal savings over a course of a period of time by utilizing the interest of that savings. And so the interest of that savings is what is being used to fund the scholarship program. So even when I am not here on this earth, that the program could continue, because not just the interest, but what we would do is that we will split the interest in the form of the amount of people that have been successful to get a scholarship, and also do what you call a retained earning. And that retained earning is then placed back on the principal. And so the principal continues to grow.
Dr. Gordon spoke of past recipients of the scholarship and how they have excelled with the program's assistance. He said 28 students are eligible for this year's scholarship.
One of the recipients have already graduated from the St. Catherine's Academy. We have 3 students right now attending high school on the program. One is at the Edward P.R. High School, one is at the St. John's College, and one is at St. Catherine's Academy. And so we have this upcoming 2025 scholarship application. What I did was I visited the school last week, and there are 28 students in Standard 6 who are eligible to be able to be a recipient of a scholarship program for 2025.
And with the renaming of the Ministry of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs, new Minister Honorable Tia Garcia Ramirez said there will be a renewed focus on empowering women. She said that women's empowerment will also focus on financial empowerment, as well as a push to have representation of women at all levels, including leadership roles.
The ministry has really reactivated their gender affairs unit. And so definitely one of the key pillars, and with likewise with my work at the National Women's Commission, previously one of the main pillars there was women's empowerment, women's financial empowerment, and certainly we're going to be making inroads into that other pillar, which is representation at all levels of public, political, and social life here in Belize. I believe that the true success of a leader can be counted in how many leaders they meet, how many leaders they empowered to come forward, how many they mentored, and how many rise as a direct consequences of effort. So I will definitely reach out to people and women who want to step up and lead, and I will definitely support and encourage and help.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.